It's the Caitlin MTG Show.
If you have health insurance, we have like a handy cream. You just apply the cream, and that's the treatment. I was like, oh, I don't have health insurance. That's why I'm here at the free clinic. They're like, oh, okay. Well, we still have a treatment for you. And the treatment for someone with genital warts without health insurance at the free clinic was they would burn them off with acid. They had like a little they had a little vial of acid, and they would put a fucking like Q-tip in there, and then they would put the acid on your warts, and it would burn them off. And there'd be like a little like fucking this small little like white spot where they were. It was a little painful, but I no longer had warts on my dick, so overall a good thing probably. Anyway, I went back to that clinic one other time. And the second time, I don't think the lady, like, the nurse lady, like, really wanted to do it. and so she was like, I'll be right back. And she just, like, left the acid on the thing. I don't know. She was gone for a while. And I was like, oh, I guess I can just fucking do this, huh? I always kind of wondered if that was like intentional on her part. Like maybe he'll figure out that he can just do this shit, or if she was actually like busy with something. I actually wrote a poem about it in college. There was a friend of mine wanted to do some kind of like twist on the vagina monologues and asked for poetry, short stories, that sort of thing. And I wrote a poem called "The Protruding Laden Pecker," which I don't think I have anymore. Maybe it's in a fucking file somewhere. Anyway, I missed the reading, but apparently it went over pretty well. Got some laughs. How do you feel about Tireless Tracker, huh? Yeah, my apologies to anyone that came into that story in the middle. I tried to warn people. Maybe overly warn people where I was going with that. Mark Chalice with a $10 tip saying, tip for bravery for telling us this story. Yeah. That should be a thing that people are okay talking about. Maybe a random viewer will get it at some point now and be a little bit less fucking like, what the shit is this? A little commercial district, huh? Yeah, I'm a big fan of that chariot off the Manibalt, huh? That could be real sexy. How good has Rumble been? Rumble's been fucking great. I think I'm going to take Arena over the Jetmir's Garden. We already have one coming to play Tap Duel. And this thing can give like the Paraguay haste already. A lot of times when you're in red, the Arena doesn't actually end up doing very much, because a lot of your creatures naturally have haste, but we have a few here we don't mind giving haste to already. Ooh, there's another one, huh? Well done, Hexus. You try to get checked twice a year. Yeah. That's good practice. I usually, in terms of STI or STD testing, I try to do it when it makes, like, logical sense, right? So, like, before I'm about to enter a committed relationship. But once I'm in a monogamous relationship, I don't bother him. That's one of the benefits. One of the many benefits. Don't have to get tested constantly. Is that a Minskin Boo? But yearly or twice a year is certainly good practice. Little halfling, little delighted halfling action. Yeah, the Chariot's a legend too, so we have a couple of 4s that we can make uncounterable. Good for you, Mike. Keeping up on your labs and all that. That sounds important as shit. A little stomping ground action here. Oh, wow, Pinfeldorf. Sorry to hear about that. Lee Troll says, y'all have time to get STDs? That's time you could have spent drafting Vintage Cube. Well. The true Cube fans. Soul Ring win. I wonder if Mana Crypt is better than Soul Ring in this deck. Oh, I just realized we have Pyrogoyf and Fear missing out. I probably wanted that shitty Shock. The one that's a card type in the bin. I probably actually wanted that card, What did I take over it? It might have been the Stomping Ground. I don't remember. That's how I feel about it, Moikheim. I mean, I wouldn't have broached it otherwise. I took Fnatic Erroneous. Yeah, I should have taken the Weird Shock over Fnatic. I was thinking Fnatic could get flashback for value off the Malevolent Rumble. But with Pyrogoyf and Fear missing out in here, I think the Shock was better than the Weird Shock. Got some hasters, My God, Straubens. I am talking about Tarfire, yeah. How's Agnesaur in Cube? It's solid. I'm going to take Urza's Bauble for the same reason that I mentioned earlier, and the same reason I should have taken the Tarfire. Gonna make the FOMO a little better, gonna make this Pyrogoyf a little better. Hey, there it is. Yeah, pretty rare that you actually want to play Tarfire, but this is the spot, Thinking about the Time Walk. Yeah, we probably need another sorcery anyway, huh? Pyrokinesis, Faithless Looting, Force of Vigor for the sideboard, or Sylvan Library, Lilium. This Ren and 6 doesn't have a lot of lands to rebuy. I was kind of hoping to grab some fetches. Though fetches also would have helped out the FOMO and the Pyrogoyf. Hey, there's a fetch. There's a fetch. Doing a little cube as a treat? As a treat, yes. Sylvan Caryatid's not exactly aggressive, but it does help fix for blue here, or Rainbow to my top end. I think it fits. I think it works. And maybe we can wheel loot, or the Death Creators champion, Death Creators is so good. Little Birds of Paradise helps out too. Nice. So Fabled Passage would be yet another fetch land here. Green Sun's okay. I've been really impressed with the Scythecat Cub. I don't really want any of this. Hey, take care, Pinfeldorf. Thanks for saying hi. Hope you have a good Sunday. I almost want to win this Urza Saga just to get like land enchantment in the bin, It's kind of cute with the Ren and 6 too. Even though we don't have a lot to grab. Yeah, fuck it. Sentinel's really good. We're kind of full on cards though, full on critters. And the Yavimaya helps out the mana base a little better. Wow, do we want the loot or the Death Creators champion? What do you think, Chad? Death Creators champion's just better, right? It's gotta just be better. Maybe loot if we had Soul Cauldron somewhere. You're saying hi? Well, hi, Dastardly. Could almost be a 60-card deck, kind of dig the green sun. I might just cut it though. I actually need like a lot of cuts, right? 29 cards here. Yeah, that means I'm cutting Rex. Rex and Death Creature's Champion sounds awesome though. Yeah, I'm gonna play Rex. Maybe I'll cut Oddity. Do I have too many mana dorks? 3? No, 3's fine. Brutal Surfetched. Yeah, some of those really like heavy or dark April Fool's jokes I could see working if you like really knew the person. But like almost always should just be stayed away from. The green sun can find blue sources for the time walk too. That's another reason it's a little tempting here. So many different ways to build the deck, right? Gobs of different ways to build the deck here. I think we can get away with 16 lands, even with one of them being Saga. Because we got the Mana Dorks, we got Ren and 6, Rebind stuff. We got Rumble hitting land drops. I think it'll be okay. Oh. Is Caryatid better than Fnatic here? So I liked that Caryatid helps the blue splash Surfetched. It's a deck that wants ramping, and it is a deck that cares about its blue splash. Oh yeah, me locker. Yeah, deal. Love that idea. I like my opponent's name. Good old Tree Bucket Enjoyer. Hell yeah. You wanted to keep the opener because any green source and 3 cards would have made the hand great? Sort of. It's not... When you're playing red-green aggro, you can't really afford to stumble. You kind of need to play acceleration into, like... we're not playing a deck that's got a bunch of disruption to, like, interact with the opponent and crawl back and losing games. We kind of just need to get ahead and stay ahead. Which means that you can't really take too many gambles, too many risks with your opener. And if you are going to take a gamble, it's got to have like a really nice payoff, right? I assume they want to trade here, and I'm totally fine with that. 10 fucking damage, huh? Right, two-tone Terran? I was thinking about that myself. How to play out the opener. Like, you could play the turn 1... If I hadn't drawn the birds, like, playing the Mana Vault turn 1 would have allowed for ripping a red source off the top and turn 2ing the Bloodbraid, but I think I would have just let on the Commercial District and not expose the Mana Vault to random disenchant effects. The birds certainly made it easy. Wow, the double removal spell. Well, looks like we're Bloodbraiding again, huh? Opponent's at 5, serving in. Hey, Hawk Sauce, thanks the sub, thanks the 21 months. Cube. It's so easy to rebuy Bloodbraid Challenger. Oh man, a land this turn would have been lethal. Yeah, the issue is they have that Shadow Spear, so you really want to kill it quickly. Not let them crawl back in. Awkward spot for them because they serve, they're dead on the crackback. But if they don't serve, like a landfall on Birds of Paradise reps lethal. Kind of depends on whether they've got another thing here, Another thing in hand, removal spell or a blocker, what have you. I think they have a removal spell for my Bloodbraid, which is pretty bad for me. Unexpectedly absent, yeah. They do need to rip again, right? Gaining 5 puts them up to 6. We have 6 in play. Opponent cannot afford to rip a discard spell or a land here. I misread that at first, Johnny Rotten, and I read it as stupid. And I was like, that's not kind. But not much. I was enjoying some vintage cube here. Kind of looks like the opponent's stabilized. Oh, I wasn't supposed to untap the Mana Vault, because I know that the top card of my library is the Bloodbraid, and that card would be pretty good here. Well, their creature doesn't have Trample. The Luminarch. So maybe I just chump it with the Ignoble Hierarch, and then try to set up to kill it on a future turn. It's not amazing, but yeah, let's force him to trade off. Oh yeah, it does get trampled from Shadow Spear. Well, in that case, I put myself dead on board. Fair enough. Yeah, I knew that Shadow Spear was going to be fucking brutal. They did need to rip a couple turns in a row. But that's allowed, right? It's allowed to happen. Oh, shit. I think I want Pyrokinesis in. Cankerbloom's an answer to the lifelink equipment. I don't know if that's overboarding. Sorry, just thinking about this last cut. I'm just not playing this. Pretty iffy hand. But we do have the turn 1 accelerant, which is the most important part. If a whiff on turn 2, at least we're playing in team. Assuming they don't have an answer to the halfling, Oh yeah. Sure. So Saga can get me mana, but not red mana. Sure. Would have been a great turn to Tarfire the Lion Sash before it gets out of control here. Very annoying that it controls my graveyard. I'm playing like FOMO and Pyrogoyf. Yeah, I boarded it out to fit sideboard cards, Trash Man. Because I was playing Sylvan Caryatid to help support the Blue Splash too, so let me cut 2 cards essentially. Our last match, we lost with the opponent at 2 life. Our second round opponent turned 2 Blightsteel twice in a row. So, like, the fact that we were able to get them low at all was impressive, I thought. Not something Burns really set up for him. Ignoble here could help you Minsk and Boo next turn. Possibly better. We had them at 1 for one of those Blightsteel games, right? Yeah. You enjoyed it enough? Went well with burninating your points? Yeah, right? Yeah, that was the important thing. The games weren't miserable either. Like, the miserable games with burn are the ones where you're like, you get the opponent down to like 5 or something, and then you're hellbent and you have no creatures. And your opponent has no win cons, but they've got like a few cards in their hand, and you're just like sitting there, and you don't know if they're holding a grip of counters, and you're just like drawing dead. Water is like a coffee with no grounds in it. Yeah, it's kind of similar to that. I haven't had a lot of coffee lately. I've got enough beans in me as it is, I feel. I feel like you don't leave the Minsk and Boo in the person's hand unless you've got a plan for that Minsk and Boo. Whether it's Spell Pierce or what. You drink enough coffee to kill a rhino and you're running out of rhinos? I think the world's running out of rhinos. I don't think that's a you-specific problem. Yeah, Toxic for 3 here. I think they have either Miscalc or Mana Leak in hand. And so, like, they didn't Toxic there because they were worried about Mince slamming down. Just play this with Dash. Got bad news and bad news, opponent. The freebooter is not going to save you. Let's get Discharge in here again. And not Pyrokinesis. I'll cut this Rex, I guess. I really wanted to, like, cycle the Rex onto the Death Greeters champion, but alas, it was not to be. Couldn't even force. Well, I can certainly put it on the stack. Pyrogoyf triggers on connecting. I'd be fine at Pyrogoyf. I mean, Pyrogoyf's probably better as it comes to playability. If it had to connect. I guess I keep this, huh? All of a sudden the hand looks way too fucking slow. More Shadow Spear nonsense. This fucking Ocelot Pride, am I right? The good news about that Vindicate is they didn't just flip their curtains and loot my Minskin Boo away, It's not nothing. Something they could do is put the Shadow Spear on a cat and just suicide him with the cat. Be cat positive. Okay. Okay. Yeah, fuck that cat, Not like my cat. My cat's awesome. Really don't like these hands without acceleration. The mana's so good, but this is a maul. In the game, Mark. I was mousing over the those in my deck. This is suddenly a good start. One question, do we burn Mana Vault? Oh, well, never mind. It's not a question. I was wondering about burning that for the, for Chiglu's, use it to play the tracker and then crank Vista. Let's grab that island out of the deck. The Saga has nothing to get, but it still might be better than these other options. Just equip it on in, sure. You could Hex Drinker and make it a 4/4 here. I think I just want to draw some fucking cards, I wish I played Saga last turn now. Leaving a land in the bin for Goy for the like. Yeah, that doesn't make sense, right? We can always crank Vista. What archetype is this? We're playing red-green aggro, but we have drawn a lot of lands. And the red and 6 like fetched a bunch of my lands that are in play, so like I haven't had a reason to play out my extras. That was a good draw. Only 2 more fetchables for this Vista. Yeah, Chariot copying other tokens is a classic, The Ren should have remodded the Saga to play this turn. That was my original plan. And then I got ahead of myself. If you copy the Spawn, you can play the Pyrogoyf this turn. Maybe better, huh? If the opponent lets me ult this Ren in 6, there is a Time Walk in my graveyard, and we have 5 lands in hand. So I would not feel very good about their odds of winning the game if that happened. Recurring Nightmare. That does not seem very good. Yeah. Yeah, I almost pinged a Monk token last turn, and I was like, wait a minute. We have a Time Walk in the graveyard, and this Ren's about to ult. Should probably do that, huh? It seems pretty good. Yeah, that's like fucking 6 turns in a row, huh? All roads lead to Rome there? Yeah. Never been to Rome. Is it as good as they make out? It is not Rich Gamer. Sometimes I just say shit. I think it's like kind of fun to sound folksy, so I'll just like say nonsense a lot. You live 40 kilometers from Rome? Yeah? What's your impression, Servetched? Worth visiting? Used to realize Minskin Boo is from D&D? Yeah, Baldur's Gate 3 specifically. And 1 and 2. But the Baldur's Gate games are based on D&D, so Minsk has been in there for a while. But most recently, Baldur's Gate 3. It looks like Wizards is looking to do more with the Baldur's Gate IP. I don't think they're going to do better than Larian, though. Larian is just like very much my shit. I hope the next Baldur's Gate game, whatever it is, whatever form it takes, I hope it rips. And I hope whatever new game Larian makes also rips. I hope everything's just good. Can't everything just be good? I'm not a fan of those bad games, you know? You ever play a bad game? Those suck. Boo, bad games. That is an interesting Terra Sunder target. I like the Saga. If I've got some fucking, like, what is this, 7 mana and I have no use for it, right? Yeah. Could run out the tracker here. I'm gonna wait and make sure I can get my value, huh? Get my land drop. I feel like it kind of matters. You want them to branch into different genres for Baldur's Gate? I don't know. I'm trying to think of other RPGs that did that. And the only thing I can think of right now, like off the cuff, is the Might and Magic series. We're a group of role-playing games, and then they made the turn-based strategy based in that universe. Heroes of Might and Magic. Went over pretty well, but it was very annoying if you actually wanted to talk about the RPG. Because everyone always thought you were referring to heroes. You always had to clarify. Total War Forgotten Realms? Alright. You know what? Give Malak the fucking keys. We have a new driver for this IP. Here's a Might and Magic. Had that funny tower defense card game. Yeah, regular Might and I was going to correct you, and then you corrected yourself. Yeah, I remember that. I remember seeing it, like, being sold at a store, like, next to Minecraft and stuff, and I was like, who would buy the mini game that's within... it's, like, built free inside this, like, awesome RPG? Hello. Ooh, bad choice. Baldur's Gate games should stay turn-based? Huh? The first two were not. You could approximate a turn-based game with, like, very liberal use of the pause button in combat, but... Yeah, the reason Baldur's Gate 3 was turn-based was because Larian was making it, and they specialize in those. It still made sense for them to do it because, you know, their first couple of games were very Baldur's Gate-like. Jesus. Last time I kept a mana iffy hand, it didn't work out very well. I'm gonna do it now anyway. I guess, worst case, we're like FOMOing on 2, I did play through Divinity 1 and 2, yeah. Divinity 2 I played through twice. I think that version is better than Baldur's Gate 1 and 2's combat system. Yeah, you realize if somebody made a non-turn-based version of Baldur's Gate, they would not go back to Baldur's Gate 1's combat system, right? That was, the game was like, what, 30 years old or some shit? Like, what are you... I like them. Some of my favorite RPGs of all time, Daggerhawk. I really dig Larian stuff. You like Baldur's Gate 1 and Neverwinter Nights, but it's really clunky going back to them. A little bit, yeah. I actually did stream through Baldur's Gate 1 last fall. Had a pretty reasonable time. Possibly I should be playing the Saga this turn. Just get in the graveyard for the FOMO and the Bloodbraid. It's possible the Rumble just like lets you do the FOMO thing, but this is pretty fucking good, right? Opponent basically needs it. It's like Zern or Robust over there, it seems like. Does order matter for playing the Divinity games? Sort of, not really. I recommend playing them in order, but like if you start with Divinity Original Sin 2, then you might have a rough time going into 1. Because Divinity Original Sin 2 is like a slightly better game. They made a couple of like quality of life improvements and stuff. So if you go from 2 to 1, you'll be just like losing that. It'll feel like a downgrade. But plot-wise, story-wise, it doesn't really matter much. You would recommend not playing 1? I wouldn't do that. I would recommend people play it. It's still one of the highest rated like computer RPGs of all time. There's a slew of them before Original Sin. Yeah, I haven't touched those. Can't speak to them at all. Wrath of the Righteous is great. I really enjoyed Wrath of the Righteous. I thought some of the levels were very cool, and some of the characters were like really interesting. The game did piss me off at times, but I did finish it and had a good time overall. A few minor tweaks, and I think I would have really loved that game. But there are a few moments where it felt like the game was wasting my time, which is like infuriating for me as a player. This is one of my pet peeves. Crusade mode in Act 4. So I didn't even mind Crusade mode. It's not like it like takes that long, and I think you can opt out of it if you really want to. The thing that I didn't like about Crusade mode is that I didn't realize like you were gonna like lose all of your armies and everything. So I was going hard the first time that you used your armies and everything, and like saving up all my resources and stuff, and then all of that just got wiped and it didn't matter. And I was like, okay, well, I wish I hadn't wasted a lot of time doing that shit. You know, playing it like it's an actual strategy game. You did the same thing? Okay, I'm glad it's not just me then, Rogue. The other thing I didn't like about Wrath is they took a character from my party fairly early on, and I had like built around that character, and so then you like lose all the items and stuff, and there's like nothing you can do to play around it. Was not a fan of that either. Those were my big two gripes with the game. Can you imagine a DM doing that in real life? Did I ever try Pillars of Eternity? Is that the one that's based on that other system? I think it downloaded it on some sale and then never went deep on it. It has its own system. I think I'm thinking of a different game then. No, I maybe played this. Alright, there's a way to fucking check, right? It would have been on Steam.